Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well, because today we've got a pretty intense topic to dive into. The Golden State Warriors have just suffered another brutal loss. And let me tell you, this one has massive implications. It's not just about the game they lost, but how it's impacting their playoff hopes and their chances of making a deep run for a championship. With this loss, things are wide open, and their postseason future is up in the air. But before I get too deep into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future content like this. Now, let's break down what went down between the Warriors and the Spurs, a game that turned into one of the most surprising results of the season. I'll also touch on the current state of the Warriors in the ultra-competitive Western Conference standings and what's next for them as they try to avoid the dreaded play-in tournament. All right, so let's talk about the game. The Warriors lost to the Spurs, 114-111, in what can only be described as a heartbreaking finish. The game was decided by a clutch three-pointer in the dying seconds. And to make matters worse, it was from a guy who's become somewhat of a villain in this storyline. This is the same player who was drafted 7th overall after the Warriors purposely tanked a few years ago. He's also the same guy who was integral to the Warriors' first championship run. But now, in this game, he's the one who made the decisive play, and it's left a bitter taste in the mouth of every Warriors fan. It's tough to even process, honestly. Coming into this game, it seemed like the Warriors had everything going for them. They were ahead by 9 points after the first quarter, 32-23, and everything seemed to be playing out according to plan. It was looking like the team would take control, just like they did against the Suns the night before. But then, something changed. The Spurs turned up the heat in the second quarter, and suddenly, the Warriors were playing catch-up. It wasn't just the second quarter, though. The Spurs kept the pressure on through the final quarter, where the Warriors were outscored by 15 points. And this wasn't just a random loss. It was a game the Warriors absolutely had to win. When you think about it, this was a game that felt like a playoff battle, and the Warriors simply didn't rise to the occasion. I mean, we know they've been struggling with consistency all season long, but this game really put that into perspective. There were moments when the Warriors looked like they were going to pull away, but then they would let it slip through their fingers. And at home, no less. That's got to sting. The Warriors had the advantage early on, but they just couldn't hold on. But, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm trying to stay optimistic here. There were a few bright spots, and I'll get to those in just a second. One of the standout performers had an incredible game, scoring 28 points and making 16 of 17 free throws. It was honestly one of the best individual performances of the night. But despite that, the reality is that the Warriors' issues go beyond just one player. This is a team game, and the Warriors simply didn't execute when it mattered most. One of the biggest takeaways from this game was how the Warriors' performance fluctuated depending on who was on the court. When one of their key players wasn't on the floor, the team was outscored by 6 points. That's the kind of thing that can make or break a game. And it's something the Warriors have to address if they want to have any hope of avoiding the play-in tournament. It's not just about one player. It's about how the team comes together and executes down the stretch. There was a moment in the game when it looked like the Warriors might still pull it off. One of their players committed a foul, but then in true basketball fashion, he made up for it by hitting some clutch free throws later on. That made it seem like the game could be headed to overtime, and with that, there was still hope. But then, just like that, the Spurs hit that game-winning three-pointer, and the rest is history. It's honestly hard to wrap my head around what just happened. I was so hyped for this game. We all thought the Warriors would handle business and come out with a much-needed win, but it didn't go the way we planned. It's crazy how quickly things can turn in the NBA. One minute, you're thinking about a possible playoff push, and the next, you're staring down the barrel of the play-in tournament. Let's take a look at the bigger picture, because the Warriors' path to avoiding the play-in tournament has now gotten a whole lot harder. If you look at the standings, the worst-case scenario is already unfolding, and the Warriors are staring down a tough road ahead. The way things are shaping up, the Warriors will need to win all of their remaining games, but even that might not be enough. There's a real chance that they could finish in the 7th spot, and that's the absolute last place you want to be. Now, let me explain this a little bit more. I'll break it down for you. The Warriors are going to need some help from other teams if they want to avoid the play-in tournament. They need certain results to go in their favor, and that's just not something they can control. So they're basically relying on a combination of their own wins and other teams' losses to keep their playoff hopes alive. That's a tough spot to be in, especially with only a few games left in the regular season. But here's where things get interesting. There's still a slim chance the Warriors could secure the 6th spot if everything breaks right. They need to win every single game, and they also need the Memphis Grizzlies to go 2-1 in their final 3 games. It's a lot to ask for, but it's not entirely out of the question. However, the chances of the Warriors jumping all the way to the 3rd spot are basically gone at this point. That was a long shot to begin with, and with this loss, it's officially out of reach. So, at this point, the Warriors need to focus on winning out and hoping Memphis falters just enough to give them a shot at that 6th spot. If they end up in the 7th spot, they'll have to face the pressure of the play-in tournament. And, as we know, anything can happen in that scenario. This is where the real drama begins. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played, but I'm sure all Warriors fans are feeling the weight of this loss right now. It's tough to stay positive after a game like this, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. The team have a lot of talent, and if they can pull it together in these last few games, they might just have a shot to avoid the play-in. Let me know in the comments what you think. Can the Warriors get out of this mess, or are they headed for the play-in tournament? Do you think they can make a deep run if they avoid the play-in, or is it too late for them to turn things around? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, and we'll definitely keep talking about this crazy season. For now, I just wanted to share my thoughts on what went down in this game. It's been a tough night, but let's keep pushing forward. We need to stay positive and focus on the next couple of games. 2-0. That's the goal. Let's get out of this play-in and make a run for the playoffs. That's all I've got for today, guys. Take care, and I'll see you soon. As we dive deeper into the situation, the stakes are clear. With just a few games remaining, the Warriors find themselves in a very precarious position. The path to avoiding the play-in tournament is more complicated than ever. And what's worse, every game feels like a do-or-die moment. We knew the season would be tough for Golden State, but this late stretch of the season is exposing some serious cracks. The inconsistency we've seen all year is showing its ugly head when it matters most. Sure, there have been flashes of brilliance. There always are with a team this talented, but they just can't seem to put it all together for an extended period. And with the pressure mounting, it's getting harder to ignore the reality that the Warriors might not even make it into the playoffs the way they hoped. What's been most frustrating, though, is the way this team seems to take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. One game, they look like world beaters, and the next, they struggle to put away a team like the Spurs, who, let's face it, are not a championship contender. This inconsistency has been the story all year. But now, with only a couple of games left to play, it feels like time is running out for them to find that playoff gear they need. And while it's not all doom and gloom, the Warriors' road to the postseason just got a lot more complicated. Looking at their remaining games, the math isn't exactly in their favor. They're sitting just above the play-in zone, but the window for improvement is rapidly closing. Every team around them is playing with a sense of urgency, and it's clear that if they don't pick it up, they could be stuck fighting for that final playoff spot in a one-game knockout scenario. The problem is the Warriors have been far from consistent in clutch situations this season. There have been games they should have won, and instead, they've let them slip away like the one against the Spurs. The key question now is whether this team can finally find that gear we've been waiting for. Can they put it together when it matters most? The answer to that question lies in how they approach their next few games. They need to start with defense. We've seen flashes of defensive intensity from the Warriors this year, but it's been far too inconsistent. Against the Spurs, the defense was nowhere to be found in the second half. This team can't afford to be giving up big runs in crucial moments, and that's something they need to clean up immediately. The Warriors are known for their offense, but if they're going to survive this tough stretch, they'll need to be more locked in defensively. The offense will always be there, but they've got to defend at a higher level to ensure they don't drop any more winnable games. And then there's the matter of their leadership. Stephen Curry is still one of the best players in the league, but it's clear that he can't do it all by himself. He needs his teammates to step up, and that's something we haven't seen enough of this season. Draymond Green has been doing his part on defense, but his offensive game has been hit or miss. Klay Thompson has been inconsistent, And while he's had some big moments, he's also had stretches where he's been noticeably absent. The Warriors need more from their supporting cast if they're going to make any noise in the playoffs. They need guys like Andrew Wiggins to find their rhythm, and they need Jordan Poole to take his game to the next level. There's talent on this team, but they need to play as a cohesive unit if they want to succeed. Another thing to consider is the Warriors' depth. While they've been known for their big three of Curry, Thompson, and Green, their success has always been built on having a deep roster that can contribute in meaningful ways. This year, though, their depth has been tested. The bench has been inconsistent, and they've struggled to find reliable production from their role players. This is a team that thrives when everyone is contributing, and right now, they just haven't been able to get that from their entire roster. That's going to need to change if they want to avoid the play-in and make a real run in the playoffs. The Western Conference is absolutely stacked this year, and there's no room for mistakes. The Warriors can't afford to have another game like this one against the Spurs. They need to win their remaining games and hope for some help from other teams to move up in the standings. The good news is they still control their destiny to a certain extent. If they win out, they have a chance to avoid the play-in tournament, but that's easier said than done. With the way the standings are shaping up, even if they win all their games, they might still end up in the 7th spot, and that's something they need to avoid at all costs. Looking at the teams around them, it's going to be a fight to the finish. The Grizzlies, who are currently sitting above the Warriors, have been playing solid basketball, and it's going to be tough to catch them. The Mavericks, Suns, and Clippers are all fighting for positioning, and each of them has something to prove. The Warriors have the talent to compete with all of these teams, but they need to bring their A game every single night. There's no more room for off nights or lapses in concentration. They need to find a way to execute in crunch time and close out games when it matters most. It's not just about avoiding the play-in tournament anymore. It's about proving that they're still a legitimate contender. There's no question that the Warriors have the pedigree and the talent to make a deep playoff run. But with every game feeling like a must-win, they need to step up in ways they haven't this season. If they can find their rhythm and get their key players clicking at the right time, they have the potential to go all the way. But if they continue to play with this inconsistency, it's going to be a long, hard road ahead. For now, all the Warriors can do is focus on the task at hand. Win the next game, and then the one after that. It's a simple formula, but it's one they haven't been able to follow consistently. They have the talent, they have the experience, but do they have the urgency to make it happen? That's the question that will define the rest of their season. As fans, we can only watch and hope that they figure it out. The next few games will be a test of their character, their resilience, and their ability to respond to adversity. The Warriors have been through tough stretches before, but this is different. This is the time to show they belong in the postseason. Will they rise to the challenge, or will they falter under the pressure? Only time will tell. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. In a twist that's sparking buzz across the NBA, rumors are swirling that Klay Thompson is experiencing a deep sense of regret after parting ways with the Golden State Warriors. Once a pillar of the dynasty that captivated basketball fans worldwide, Thompson is now donning a different shade of blue with the Dallas Mavericks. And insiders claim he's not quite at peace with the move. Could the sharpshooter be longing for the golden days with the Splash Brothers? Thompson's legacy with the Warriors is nothing short of legendary. Over 13 seasons, he etched his name in the league's history books alongside Stephen Curry, revolutionizing the game with their three-point artistry. Together, they brought 4 championships to the Bay Area, forged a cultural movement, and built a bond that many assumed was unbreakable. But everything changed on July 6, 2024, when Klay was traded to Dallas in a historic 6-team deal, one that marked the NBA's first of its kind. Though his debut with the Mavericks was electric, dropping 22 points and setting a franchise record for most threes in a debut, some cracks in the surface began to show. His emotional return to Chase Center in November tugged at fans' heartstrings, with a standing ovation and a tribute video highlighting the highs of his Warriors career. The moment was powerful. It was personal, and, according to sources close to the player, it may have reignited feelings of what once was. Dallas has been great, but there's something about the Bay, A league insider reportedly quoted Thompson as saying in a private conversation, "While nothing has been confirmed publicly, the whispers are growing louder. The chemistry, the brotherhood, the banners, they're not easily replaced." Even with individual milestones continuing to pile up, like passing Reggie Miller on the all-time three-point list and recording his 10th 203 season, something still seems to be missing. Could this just be nostalgia? Or is Klay truly yearning for a reunion with the team that shaped his identity? For now, he remains a maverick, putting up numbers, leading by example. But fans can't help but wonder, is there unfinished business waiting back in Golden State? Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.